Today we'll be looking at a case that's like something straight out of a horror movie. Shortly before Halloween 2014, witnesses saw what they believed to be a gruesome Halloween prank. A man walking down the street, dragging a decapitated body, whilst kicking the head out the way.
From a horrifying crime, police say a man apparently snapped, beheaded his own mother, then threw himself in front of a speeding train. Fox 5's Tua Chang.
It was, in fact, very real. The man was Derek Ward, and the decapitated body was his mother, Patricia Ward. Patricia Ward was a 66-year-old professor from Long Island, teaching language arts in a program that helped high school students get ready for college. She had worked at Farmingdale State College for 28 years and enjoyed a high level of recognition, popularity, and respect on campus. Derek Ward, her 35-year-old son, resided at home with her. Patricia had sadly lost her other son, Robert, due to a heroin overdose in 1997, and she was divorced from their father, John. Derek had struggled for years with mental health issues that went back about 10 years. Following the passing of his grandfather in August 2013, his mental health issues grew worse. Derek was unemployed and also had a significant criminal history, with arrest records dating back to more than 10 years ago. He had previously served time for drug and weapon-related offences and had been on probation for a while. To their neighbours, Patricia and Derek seemed like any other mother and son. The neighbours never heard any fights, and no instances of domestic violence were reported. However, several people did observe that Derek was often with his mother. One neighbour recalled how Patricia seemed very protective, always checking that Derek had certain things with him, such as his wallet. Patricia doted on her son and did everything she could to help him with his psychiatric problems. However, she struggled to find a psychiatrist. Patricia was unable to get Derek's care via her insurance because he was too old to be covered, and she had trouble locating a psychiatrist who would take Medicaid, a public health insurance for those on low income. When she eventually found a psychiatrist, Patricia was paying $200 for a 20-minute visit. Patricia was concerned that her son would take his own life. It was a few nights before Halloween 2014. Neighbours of the Ward family saw Derek hauling a beheaded body, dressed only in a bra and knickers, out of the apartment he and his mother shared. Before leaving, Derek kicked the severed head across the street. Initially, the neighbours assumed that it was nothing more than a morbid prank, or possibly a gory decoration, because it was so close to Halloween. The decapitated body wasn't too out of place, because it was close to a house that was decorated in preparation for Halloween, with fake gravestones, cobwebs, and pumpkins. A short while later, a neighbour who lived close by reported seeing what she believed to be a head with long black hair lying face down in the street as she drove by. She said the body was laid straight out, the legs together and the hands at the sides. When somebody finally went to inspect the body, they were horrified to discover it wasn't a Halloween prank at all. Derek had dragged his mother's headless body into the street and kicked her head along the street. Neighbours were left horrified. Some claimed they would need therapy to get over the sight. One resident said about seeing the body in the street, "You figure, okay, someone's playing a Halloween prank. But for it to turn out to be a reality? Wow." It wasn't long before the truth about Derek's subsequent events came to light. This was no longer just a murder. It was a murder-suicide. Derek had walked about a mile from his house after killing his mother, before jumping in front of a Long Island Railroad train. Derek was run over and killed by an eastbound train near the Farmingdale station. Derek was reportedly carrying a Smith & Wesson pistol and prescription drugs, Valium, on the night he died. His suicide would soon be connected to Patricia's murder. News of the murder began to sweep through the area. According to the police, Derek beheaded his mother after stabbing her to death, sat in the blood-stained apartment for a while, and then dragged Patricia's dismembered body down the stairs and out onto the street. Patricia suffered multiple stab wounds and broken ribs, and the knife used to kill her was found inside the apartment. With no witnesses to the actual crime, police were trying to piece together a motive. It was discovered that Derek had not been taking his medication, and he was scheduled to see his psychiatrist only 2 days later to get some more, an appointment that may have saved both their lives. When he killed his mother, Derek had gone around 4 days without taking any medication, according to his uncle, the Reverend Robert Lubrano. Derek had never been violent towards his mother, according to his uncle, who attributed the murder-suicide to a lack of access to mental health care. He claimed that Patricia had scheduled a consultation with a doctor for 2 days after her death and was working to obtain her son the mental health care he needed. Family members claimed that in the days preceding the murder-suicide, Derek's mental stability had deteriorated. They described how one evening, Patricia dropped a fork whilst making Derek dinner, and this angered him. Derek said the noise hurt his head. Patricia begged Derek to go to the emergency room, but he wouldn't. Their family had encouraged Patricia to contact the police, which she refused to do. Patricia was worried that the police might lock up her son. Despite having psychological issues, Derek never received a specific diagnosis. However, his family believed he may have had schizophrenia, as he heard voices in his head. Derek's uncle said his nephew was not a bad person, just a sick person. It's believed that due to the death of his grandfather, Derek was experiencing a psychotic episode. Experts in the mental health field expressed concern that atrocities like this serve to reinforce the stigma associated with mental illness. Peggy Sicari of the Family and Children's Association explained how we end up connecting mental illness with violent behaviour, and, overwhelmingly, people diagnosed with mental illness never display violent behaviour. This tragedy highlights the message that mental illness should not be ignored. Patricia's colleagues mourned her death. Patrick Calabria, the college vice president for institutional advancement and enrolment, said Patricia was well known, well liked, and well respected, and the whole campus was in shock. This incident was truly a tragedy of which there were 2 victims. Yes, Derek violently murdered his mother. That cannot be excused. But he was also suffering from serious mental health issues which, due to the huge expense of psychiatric treatment, he was not being adequately treated for. Patricia was a completely innocent victim, and Derek, in a sense, was also a victim. The circumstances surrounding the case begs the question, would this have happened had Derek been taking medication? Let me know your thoughts below on this tragic case.